All right, we are live. As always, please let us know if everything is working. But thank you for tuning in to the Charge On pregame live show. As always, I'm your host, Sean Green. Joining me, as always, Nick Geddes. Been a crazy week. I thought a hurricane was the only thing that would be the craziest thing to happen. We didn't know if this game was going to happen early in the week. It was a toss-up. I hope everybody is safe. If you're watching, I hope you made it out okay. And if you're not, I hope that this show and this game can give you just a couple hours to turn off, real life and just enjoy the sport that we all love, the team that we all love, which is UCF football. But I'm going to wait for a couple more people to get in. We do have some news that we're going to share. It's been a hectic 12 hours. How you drove up. It's been a crazy week for you with the hurricane. Nick lives in the Tampa area. So, how has it been for you these past 72 hours, but just the past 12 hours in general specifically as well?
It's been a few days. Obviously, if you've been keeping up with the news and you don't live in the Tampa Bay area on the west coast of Florida, we got hit pretty bad. My area, some damage in some areas, some we got spared, which we're lucky for that. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it over here today, but thankful, obviously, that I was able to. We had power come back on yesterday, so we're all good on that front. Obviously, there's a lot of people who aren't as fortunate, so obviously our hearts are going out to them today. But, just the fact that we're here and then we get to enjoy a college football Saturday as a much-needed distracted for many, I think is a good thing.
All right, I don't know how many people are in here, but if you want, you can clip this. Listen, it is a little early. I don't know if UCF wants us out there. There's a specific reason why it has not been confirmed anywhere, but we got permission by our own Stephen Leonard of the Charge On postgame live show. We got permission. So according to Stephen Leonard, E.J. Colson will be starting today for UCF. K.J. Jefferson will be going to the bench. UCF is turning to the 17-year-old quarterback that should be in high school still. He should not be in college. But he will be starting for UCF today against Cincinnati. We're going to get into it because I heard about this late last night, and this is according to Stephen Leonard. He found this out. He is reporting it, and we're just relaying that information as we are hearing it. But it's big, Nick. I mean, we talked about it. KJ, he was not doing well. We know that. KJ was struggling. We thought, and I said that I thought that he would be playing the first half of this game, and it would be a determination based off that to see if Jakari Brown would come in. We knew Jakari Brown was the backup. He's paid a lot of money to come be the backup and was going to potentially be the starter next year. Well, it's not looking like that's the case, at least for right now. They're turning to the young, true 17-year-old freshman quarterback in E.J. Colson.
Yeah, if that ends up being the case, I mean, what a 24 hours. Like, I went to bed last night. The last thing I was thinking was E.J. Colson getting let alone playing in this game, but starting this game. And then this morning, I think we all, Night Nation, woke up and immediately went on Twitter, and just these rumors that were just circulating all over the place. A lot of people being very, discreet with what they were saying, what information that the university wants out there, what they don't want out there. Obviously, there's competitive advantage that goes a part of all these decisions. But then we arrived today to the stadium. We got to the press box very early. We saw the entire team come onto the field. And we saw Gus Malzahn speaking with all the quarterbacks around the 40-yard line right in front of us. And obviously, we were locked into that. And even before we had an idea that EJ was going to start in this game, you could see, EJ was front and center of that quarterback circle. Gus was talking right to him. KJ Jefferson, I believe he was in that circle, but it looked like he was, in the back with Jakari and Riley Trujillo. Did we see Dylan Risk? I don't know if we saw him out there.
He was standing right next to EJ.
Yeah, they were all out there, so it looked like it. But EJ was the guy who looked like he was getting, the eye contact from Gus the most. So, take that with what you will. Listen, there's this whole hashtag that's going around right now, free the youngins, right? So we saw last week it was Chase and Johnson who got a chance to get in that corner and performed pretty well. And it looks right now like it could be the case that the next youngin that's going to get freed is E.J. Colson, who is 17 years old, if you can believe it.
Yeah, I just want to say it again for those that are tuning in According to Knights 247's own Stephen Leonard, E.J. Colson will be the starting quarterback for the game today against Cincinnati. We said it. Like, you don't want to go to all your young players because if they're not ready, they're not ready. And if you go to all your young players, there is kind of this outside look that you are kind of throwing away your season. You're getting the young guys in and you're developing them. But I don't get the vibe that this is what Gus and the staff are doing. I don't get that vibe. The vibe that I'm getting is I heard they all got first team reps. They all got equal amount of reps in practice this week. And there was a clear-cut person that played the best. And whether it, there's greater questions. We'll see how it all works out. Like, you are putting a 17-year-old kid that hasn't played a college snap in a big-time game, a game that really could determine how your season, because right now your season's teetering on really bad. I mean, you're teetering on, is this season just a throwaway season? So a lot might look at this as, are you throwing away the season, or are you continuing to try and make this a special year? I think with this move, Nick, what it tells me is they really believe in this 17-year-old in E.J. Colson to go out and perform early.
Yeah, I think that's the telling thing, is not that K.J. Jefferson appears to have been benched today. It's that Ja'Carri Brown is not the next man up. I mean, I, like so many, were just assuming, like, oh, well, if we're going to move on, if UCF's going to move on from K.J. Jefferson, then it's going to be Ja'Carri Brown, because at least Ja'Carri Brown has gotten a chance to play a little bit in Miami. He's been quarterback too, so we've thought through this entire process. I don't know the numbers that they're paying him to be at this university, but I assume that it's not cheap. So, like, we all thought it was going to be Ja'Carri, and then, like I said, you wake up this morning and it's like, oh, it might be EJ. So I want to think that's a good thing if it's EJ, and, a 17-year-old true freshman who should be in high school, and your first taste of college football action is against a Cincinnati team that's much improved, Big 12 opponent, in your own stadium. Like, this is a tall task, and I got to be honest with you. Like, I don't even know how you really preview E.J. Colson. We literally don't know. Like, I don't know if he's gonna be a revelation, and it's gonna be like, wow, this offense looks a lot different and a lot better with E.J. Colson, or he could play like a 17-year-old that should be in high school plays. Like, I don't really know what to expect. I think we're all just kind of holding on right now. But I will say, there has not been maybe the biggest buzz around this program and around this game today, given what we saw the last 2 weeks. This game needed some juice. It needed some bite to it. And now it's like the blood's pumping. Like, all of a sudden it's like, wow, I can't wait for 3:30. It's like it did something to this game at least. Then, KJ goes out there and it feels like it's going to be the same old, same old.
Yeah, I think there was a little excitement because I'll be honest, I didn't expect KJ to play good in the first half. I expected to see Ja'Carri come in the second half, and I was excited for Ja'Carri. Like, let's be real here. The way he threw the ball in the first two games didn't give me immense confidence. It looks like he had one type of throw, and it was bullets everywhere. So I was a little nervous about that, but I knew that his running ability, with the way the offenses ran so far this season, the way that Ja'Carri Brown runs the ball would be an improvement. What this tells me, and what it tells, I think, a lot of you, is they clearly believe in E.J. Colson. He's clearly been the best quarterback for the last couple weeks, especially in practice, because, listen, we all have eyes, right? We see how KJ's bad. Well, guess what? The players have eyes, too. They see KJ has not performed as well as the UCF staff have wanted, and also they practice. So they see who the best quarterback in practice is. I don't think if Ja'Carri Brown was the better quarterback in practice, I don't see how they would make the move to EJ. There's no way you start the 17-year-old just to make the splash and say, well, we're going to throw the young player in there. No, he clearly was the best quarterback, not just this week, but for the last couple weeks. And now I don't know that for sure. All I know is he's, according to Stephen Leonard, he's starting. But there's no way you're trotting out the 17-year-old if he hasn't just straight up beat Ja'Carri Brown in every which way or form.
Yeah, and especially the fact that he is 17, and he's a true freshman. He had to have done a lot, yeah, I think, to probably get in front of Ja'Carri Brown and even Dylan Risk. Like, let's not throw. I mean, we got to see against Sam Houston. Ja'Carri got in there a little bit, and even Dylan got a drive or two. One drive, right? So, like, E.J. Colson didn't even play in that game, but so he had to have done something over the last few weeks to probably jump both of those guys. And it is interesting, like, for Gus right now, to sort of pull the Band-Aid off, because Gus has been asked a lot over the last week about KJ Jefferson and listen, Gus is not going to throw his players under the bus, nor should he, okay? I know everybody wants Gus Malzahn to just go scorched earth on KJ Jefferson. That's not going to happen. No coach should do that. And he's, taking the approach of, well, we got to play well around him. We got to play better around him. That is true. That's obviously true. There are a lot of issues with this UCF football team right now, specifically on offense. But I find it, I was going to say surprised, but maybe just more, just interesting, I guess is the word I would use, that he's pulled the Band-Aid after 5 games, because I wasn't expecting it. I called for it, but I really wasn't expecting it. I thought if they would drop this game with KJ at quarterback, then I thought you'd see a move. But the fact that he's seemingly going away from now, I think is pretty telling.
It's telling that what we've been seeing is what Gus is seeing, and they're not going to keep waiting for stuff to happen. We heard that Gus didn't really perform that well in fall camp, and I think they were hoping and praying that when the season came along, his experience would outshine the way that he's played recently. Hasn't been the case. He played good for a couple games here or there, but he's also showed a lot of weaknesses in his game and with his UCF offense. So I want to answer a couple of your questions because I see a couple that I find interesting. Jeez, that was loud. They usually don't play the bands over here, but if you guys can hear us, hopefully over this band, does that affect the 3-point spread positively or negatively?
It's gone to 2.5. I believe it was at 3.5 coming into today. So,
I'll be honest. I mean, I picked Cincy to win by 14. You picked them to win by how much? 11?
10.
10. So we don't think the spread was accurate anyway. So if anything, this spread should go down significantly. You're playing a 17-year-old quarterback in his first ever start, his first ever snaps in college. The audio is great over the band. That's great.
This mic is like top of the food chain right here when it comes to mics. Let me tell you,
top notch mic. But no, I think if you are a betting man or a betting woman, like I was taking Cincinnati today, I'm still taking Cincinnati today. That doesn't change. But just like Nick said, you have no idea what you're going to get out of this kid. He played amazingly in high school, lit it up in Georgia. There's a reason UCF won. Georgia, Kirby Smart wanted E.J. Colson to come. This kid is not just like some, throwaway player, and I'm not going to disrespect any quarterback on the roster.
I'm just going to point out, too, he wasn't 17 years old at the time. But the last time UCF did something very similar to this was 5 years ago. And do I want to say there were some similarities in the way that a certain Brandon Wimbush played? Now, I don't want to say, okay, let me take that back. KJ Jefferson, for his faults, has looked way better than Brandon Wimbush did in 2019. Agreed? We're all on the same parallel. But it's sort of similar, is it not? Like, and remember, they went to Dylan Gabriel, and Dylan Gabriel, looked like one of the best freshman quarterbacks. I mean, he might have been the best freshman quarterback in the country that year. I have to go back and look. But to my knowledge, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that's the last time we've seen this happen at UCF, and obviously that decision worked out really well. So that would be great. And we've been talking a lot about UCF and the quarterback position and some of the misses that Gus Malzahn has had at the high school level there, and especially evaluating. It would be so great for this program if E.J. Colson was the guy. Like, I can't stress that enough. So they've jump-started that today, so we think, and I hope it sticks.
Yeah, it's going to need to stick because here's the negative part. The positive is Gus made the change. The positive part is he's not just going to let bad quarterback play define this team, and he's going to make the change. What the bad part of this is this: if this team is just really bad, if this team is bad, you're throwing out a 17-year-old kid. Could it hurt his confidence? Now, from everything we've heard, EJ is one of the most confident quarterbacks that you can have. So that also, I think, could play into this. I think if you have a different type of quarterback in how much their confidence is, I don't think you throw them out in this spot. But if you go and throw them out there and you don't perform well, could it mess up the confidence? Could it mess up the team dynamic, going 3-3 and then making a move like this, which could really define your season? I want to answer a couple of these really quickly. Full Turn Media said RJ rushing touchdown. I think I would bet a lot of money on that. I'd bet a lot of money on that.
I mean,
I'm not telling you to bet, but I think that's a good bet.
Yeah, I think he'll get a touchdown today. Over/under RV Harvey getting 100 yards. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying it at 100, but listen, it's been 2 weeks in a row where they haven't been able to run the football effectively. That bottom line, whoever plays quarterback, UCF's not going to win any games if they don't run the ball to the effectiveness that they did in the first 3 games of the season, and it looks like the last 2 games, they're just not going to win many football games, no matter who's playing quarterback.
And call it like it is. This move was made for a couple reasons. Number one, the RPO game. The RPO game has been really bad. That is UCF's whole offense. So if you can't run the RPO effectively, the offense isn't going to be effective. Tyler, do you think KJ even plays again, to be honest? No. So I said this in our post-game show or our post-game live after the Florida game. I said, the reason Gus didn't pull KJ in that Florida game is the minute you pull KJ, the minute you pull him out of a game, the minute you bench him, he's done. You don't put the quarterback back in. You pull that quarterback, you're making a decision saying that is not the quarterback for your team. You see it all around pro sports. You make a change at quarterback, that is the change. I do find it interesting we said Ja'Carri Brown is clearly not QB2. He's now QB3. So, or maybe he is QB2 now because I think KJ Jefferson does not play in a night uniform again. Do you agree with that?
I would think so. I think he's going to be around the program, but as far as playing, as far as playing, I don't think he gets back in there. Probably. Hey, he was very nice, by the way. Very nice. Anyway, yeah, I don't think he plays again. To be honest with you, it feels like there's a youth movement going on at the quarterback position. If you're pulling KJ Jefferson out of 5 games, like I know Auburn did something similar. They pulled Peyton Thorne and went to Hank Brown, and then they found out that Hank Brown was worse. Yeah. And then guess what? Now they've ended up right back at Peyton Thorne. So,
which is very rare.
And I think UCF has enough options that I think Gus will exhaust the options before he probably goes back to KJ.
Yeah, and who knows? I'm not saying I've not heard this, so I'm just making assumptions. I'm not saying you don't see Ja'Carri out there, for a couple, not drives, not series this is not Mertz Lagway. But I wouldn't be shocked if they put Brown in there for maybe a quarterback run player or something to that effect just to switch it up. But no, EJ's clearly the guy, and yeah, I don't see KJ coming back in. I really don't. I think if anything, if they, for some reason, if EJ just is not good and they pull him, which would be the biggest, that would be the worst case scenario.
Back to what I said at the beginning, and I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but the whole little quarterback meeting that they do at midfield, just looking at KJ's body language and what he was radiating, he looked like the kind of guy who probably was not playing today. That's just me reading into it. I might be reading it way too far into it. You might think differently, but it looked like somebody who is just not part of the game plan today.
No, usually, and again, if you've ever seen the coaches with the quarterbacks before the game, a couple hours, the starting quarterback with Gus is always at front and center talking with Gus. Gus is talking directly to that guy, determining the game plan. You've seen it the last couple weeks. He talks with KJ. KJ was in the back of the huddle. EJ was up front with Darren Hinshaw and Coach Malzahn right up front. So, again, it was very apparent. I don't think KJ sees the field again. Audio is great, Ben. By the way, Kevin, you're fine. This is Shure mic. Shure. I don't know what brand. I think it's the M7V or MV7 or something like that. But it's a great mic. Like that Cincinnati fan having fun. Honestly, Nick mentioned it. I think going into this game, and I think, I don't want to speak for all UCF fans, but this game was very not hyped. Even the Florida game. The Florida game got caught hype the day of the game. But going into the game, the hype was very minimal. It was we both kind of suck. We both have played really bad over the last couple weeks. What's the vibe at? This game for Cincinnati, the hurricane, didn't know if the game was happening, and the team was just not playing well. But this has reignited even our interest, being we have something that we could really, we know we were getting out of KJ. We know what the offense was probably going to look like, but now you get something different. Yeah,
I think that adds intrigue. I was going to say, though, to the point about the interest in the crowd today, if you're not here at the stadium, we're still, about an hour and 10 minutes away from kickoff, so right now, it doesn't seem like it's too busy at the moment, but again, I think you got to cut everybody some slack. It's pretty hard to get over here right now, and even then, there's a lot of people without power and everything. So, I'm not expecting it to be a packed house today necessarily, but I wouldn't freak out too much about that.
All right, we're gonna go for a little bit longer here. Not too bad, but definitely want to get kind of you guys ready and get us ready. Brown is 2, Risk is 3. Yeah, as of right now, I would assume that Brown is QB2. Nothing kind of tells me otherwise. I definitely think Ja'Carri is QB2. But again, that would be a big, I don't want to say fumble because it's at the end of the day, you play the best player. It doesn't matter how much you pay a guy. But I will say this will definitely be talked about. Like, we're going to talk about it on a show in the next couple shows. At the end of the day, you paid 2 quarterbacks a lot of money. Now, I don't blame the KJ. I do not blame the KJ. I know a lot of UCF fans are upset about paying the KJ contract for NIL. You took a swing on a guy that's proven that he could do it in the SEC. I do not care.
It didn't work out. Like, he's not the only one. There's many examples of, hell, you can go to NC State. You think that Grayson McCall, I know he just got injured, everything, but before that, was Grayson McCall lighting it up at NC State? No. In fact, I think he might have not even been quarterback 1 for a second there. So, I mean, hell, Florida State, you want to ask them how it's working out? Like, it happens. Obviously, you wish it wouldn't happen, but did anybody see KJ Jefferson being this, incapable, it seems like, of running the offense to its full capability? I don't think any of us saw that happening. So, it is what it is. If Gus is truly pulling the Band-Aid off today, though, like, I think he should be amended or rewarded. What's the word I'm trying to say? Applauded. There you go. My brain right now. He should be applauded for that. I'm trying to think in my head, too. If EJ Colson plays well today and UCF wins, how many people are going to be like, well, Gus should have played him earlier anyway? Like, I don't know if that's fair to say, honestly, for EJ, because how many programs are putting a 17-year-old in at quarterback right away? They don't have
0.
So I don't think that argument holds up really much today if I see that after the game. But we got a long ways to even get to that. So
no, and that's the thing. Like, you have to applaud Gus. Like, if you look at the Florida State situation, Norvell didn't make the change. He would have wrote it out with DJ, but unfortunately he got hurt, and it was almost forced on his hand. Gus is making the decision. He's saying, I'm not accepting this play. We're 3-2. They have a lot to play for. They're 1-1 in conference. It's early in the year. He's making the move now. I know we haven't even talked about Cincinnati, which we're probably not going to, because straight up, this is big-time news. But Gus is making the move and saying, I'm not going to let bad quarterback play take this team down to the ground. Be prepared. Only KJ is ahead of Riley. Be prepared to see Extree and Harris play at linebacker today, too, some snaps. Well, you've seen Extree play some snaps at linebacker. I want to make this clear because Defalk, obviously, we talk. You're the free my youngins. You're pushing that, right? I'm in the not free the youngins camp. I mean, play the youngins that deserve to be played and are better than whoever's out on the field. I do not believe in just play the young guys to play the young guys. At linebacker, Deshaun Pace should be playing almost every snap. And then Ethan Barr. Listen, Ethan Barr is really good against the run, maybe not good against the pass. You're going to see Extree and Andrew next year almost every snap. They're going to start next year. Like, I don't think Gus is if there's anything we've learned, Gus has learned very quickly this year and last year, you can't build a team through the transfer portal. You might get a couple transfers that can help you. But specifically this year, he's learned you cannot just go into the transfer portal and get a bunch of transfers and hope to win.
Right, and I don't think there needs to be I think there needs to be, to some extent, like a youth movement. I'm good with that. Like, Chasen Johnson, to me, like, when UCF goes out on defense today, Chasen Johnson should probably be out there. But do I think Chasen Johnson's going to play the entire game? No, I think they're going to continue to rotate. Like, Mac's going to get in there. Brandon Adams is obviously going to be out there a lot. We'll see about Antoine Jackson. I mean, he didn't really, to the naked eye, I don't think he played much against Florida. So I think there's going to be some rotation. Ethan Barr, like you mentioned, I don't think he's a true 3-down linebacker because of the limitations that he has defending the pass. But, man, he's been a sure tackler near the box. I know that. My eyes can tell you that. So you can't just put every young guy out there, because then you're going to have some more issues that I think are going to pop up, and you don't want that. And the defense, for me, did Florida take their foot off the gas a little bit in that third and fourth quarter last week? I think so. But if you're the defense, I think you badly needed that to put up a 0 for 30 minutes, give you some confidence, and hope that can translate over to this week.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I think that's going to do it for us, because this was EJ Colson talk. I'm sure our post-game show will be EJ Colson talk once again. It's exciting. We've got about an hour left until we see a 17-year-old, the youngest starting quarterback ever in UCF history, take the field against your rival, the Cincinnati Bearcats. For Nick Geddes, I'm Sean Green. We will see you after the game. started getting